Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're doing another album shootout. Last time we picked on Metallica. This time we're going to go to Guns N' Roses, and we're looking at Use Your Illusion 1 versus Use Your Illusion 2. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So I guess I should preface all this by saying I love both of these albums. If you were to put both of these albums together, I would probably think it's one of the best albums of all time.
And I mean, I was going to ask you, do you consider it a double album or two separate albums?
It's technically two separate albums.
And they sold them separately. But I don't know. I can kind of see it both ways.
There's been some controversy around that also, because some people say it was just a marketing ploy to get more album sales. And I know Slash is on record saying that when he was younger, he wasn't able to buy like multiple albums
or double albums because they were more expensive.
That's what I meant, double albums. So they decided to split up the album in two, so kids could buy one copy and then a couple weeks later buy the second version. So I don't know which side is really true. Who knows? I'm sure probably a little bit of both.
I'm sure the record company likes the idea of selling two for the price of one.
I'm sure the band liked that also.
Yeah.
But, so I guess we'll start with Use Your Illusion 1. I think this was the album that had the bigger hits on here. You've got November Rain on here. Mm-hmm. Don't Cry was on here. Even though I think I like the version of Don't Cry on Use Your Illusion 2 better. But
see, I didn't. I prefer the Use Your Illusion 1 version.
Yeah.
But Coma is another good song.
So that's kind of what I was going to say. Is Coma is probably my favorite Guns N' Roses song of all time. Happens to be on this album. I will say the last couple of tracks on this album. So you got Don't Damn Me, Bad Apples, Dead Horses, and even though it's Dead, is it Dead Horses or yeah?
I think
yeah. And then Coma. Those last couple of tracks, I think, are probably like the best, or some of the best, like last couple tracks on an album in the 90s. It just, the quality at the end of the album, I think, is what makes this album as great as it is.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's really hard. Before we were recording, I was pretty set on which one I thought was better. Then I'm looking at the track listing on both of them.
By the way, that is wrong. It should be Dead Horse. It's not Dead Horses.
Oh, well, anyway, looking at the track listing on both of them, and I start going, well, I don't know. Is one better than two? I don't know. November Rain is arguably one of the best hit songs of 1991-92.
Yeah.
The music video was epic. The song is fantastic. The guitar solo in it is, I would rank it as one of the great guitar solos of ever.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. It's really hard to say. And don't get me wrong. I love when Guns N' Roses does a cover song, generally speaking.
We got a great one on here.
And there's a great one on here. And that was what I was going to say. Live and Let Die, their version of Live and Let Die blows Paul McCartney's out of the water.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
For me, I would listen to, because I had it on cassette, that was the song I wanted to hear on side one every time. Because I was familiar with the song, but it was like getting a brand new song for me. And of course, I think Don't Cry was on side one as well.
Yeah. But the only kind of negative I have on this album is the song Right Next Door to Hell, I think, is not the best way to start off the album. It's not.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Even though it's not a bad song, I will say that on both of these albums, I think Use Your Illusion 2 is the only album of the two that has a skippable track on it. And actually, it probably has a couple of skippable tracks. There's not a bad track on Use Your Illusion 1.
Right.
But I just don't like the way, starting off the album with that. I will say there's definitely more variation on Use Your Illusion 1, because you got songs like November Rain, you got songs like You Ain't the First on here, songs that maybe aren't exactly what people would expect from Guns N' Roses, but I think that's kind of what adds to what makes this album so great. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll start with the kind of the negatives for Use Your Illusion 2. Of course, My World is a horrible track. I know it was kind of recorded as kind of a joke. I don't even think the band outside of Axl knew it was going to go on the album. So I kind of get that. It's a horrible way to end the album with that track. I think had they left that off there, I think I think I would have thought even higher of the album. Outside of that though, I guess Pretty Tied Up is kind of a weird song. Get in the Ring is something they probably could have left off the album. Even though I like Pretty Tied Up, I think it is a good song. Get in the Ring, I always liked it kind of growing up. I will say it has not aged very well though.
Yeah. That's how I feel about You Could Be Mine. Because that was a big single. It was in the Terminator 2 soundtrack, and it was huge because I think it was released before the album came out.
I think it was
because that came. Yeah, it had to be because the album came out in September, and I think Terminator 2 came out in the summer. So you had that. It was getting MTV play all the time. I loved Terminator 2. It was a fantastic film. Now I really can't listen to that song.
Yeah, it's so overplayed. Yeah. I definitely get that.
That's a skippable track for me.
Sure. But going back to kind of like the whole covers from Guns N' Roses, Knocking on Heaven's Door is an incredible cover. There's that whole little part like late in the song they kind of do without, but overall it's just a great track. I love their version of it. I think it's probably my favorite version of that song. Yeah. Kind of going back to the whole kind of variation though, there's definitely different kinds of Guns N' Roses tracks on Use Your Illusion 2. I don't know why it's so hard to say that. Locomotive, So Fine, Estranged. Estranged is another incredible track. Yeah. And it's a track that I didn't really expect to hear from Guns N' Roses when it was released. Obviously, the only thing we had from GNR at that time was Appetite for Destruction and Lies. So there's a lot of stuff on here that I didn't think the band would create music like that. And Estranged is it's an incredible track from beginning to end. There's so many great different guitar solos and stuff on this album also. But I love the way it starts out with Civil War.
Civil War is one of my top Guns N' Roses songs.
Yeah, and I think that's why I probably rank Use Your Illusion 2 a little higher in some aspects over 1. Because I think the sequencing on this album is just better. Like I said, the last 4 tracks on 1 with Don't Damn Me, Bad Apples, Dead Horse, and Coma, it's a great way to end the album. But they start out this album with so many great tracks also. Civil War, 14 Years, Yesterdays, Knocking on Heaven's Door Before You Get in the Ring is another kind of great 4 tracks that really kind of brought in the album that I've loved ever since it was released.
So for me, I guess if you were to look at it as a whole and say, if you took all the best songs off of one album and all the best songs off of one and made a single album, you're talking one of the greatest albums ever made, maybe, arguably best rock albums ever made. I personally gravitate more towards Use Your Illusion 1.
Yeah.
Because I don't have as many skippable tracks. And the only flaw I have with Use Your Illusion 1 is the opening.
Yeah.
That's really it is a terrible opening. I could see that as like if it was a double album, that could open up the next album. But because it's not technically a double album, its place is somewhere in the middle if you're going to put that track on there at all. So that's my only complaint with Use Your Illusion 1, whereas with Use Your Illusion 2, there's more skippable tracks.
What do you think of the 2 versions of Don't Cry?
I like Use Your Illusion 1's better.
Okay. Because I'm on the opposite side.
And I have gone back and forth in the past. I want to say when I first had it, when it was, early on, I probably liked the Use Your Illusion 2's better. But over time, I've come to appreciate and like Use Your Illusion 1's better.
Yeah.
I don't really know why. But if I had to choose between the 2, I think I'd go with Use Your Illusion 1.
I think the version on 2 is a little bit more personal, a little bit more darker than the first one. And maybe that's kind of why I like it a little bit more. And I was the opposite. I always liked the first version. And I would say over the years I switched. And I think the second one is a better version of those 2 tracks.
And to be fair, I haven't listened to those tracks back to back in a very long time.
Yeah.
And I probably haven't listened to either one of them on their own in couple of years now.
Yeah.
Probably since I got Use Your Illusion 1 on vinyl. I don't have Use Your Illusion 2 yet on vinyl yet. So I probably need to go and listen to them back to back, but overall my gut is telling me I like the Use Your Illusion 1's better.
Okay. All right, so let's come down to like the Shootout part of it. If you got to pick one, which one are you picking?
I'm picking Use Your Illusion 1.
Okay. Because I'm on the opposite side. Yeah. I think if I had to get rid of one of them, I would get rid of Use Your Illusion 1 and keep part 2.
See, if in a shootout scenario, I would only want to keep 2 for a few tracks. Civil War specifically.
Yeah.
Because it's one of my favorite Guns N' Roses tracks. But I can see losing that song to keep all the songs on Use Your Illusion 1.
Yeah.
Because you've got, like I said, Live and Let Die. You've got November Rain, Coma. I love the song The Garden because it's got Alice Cooper on it, and it's a great song. Those songs I couldn't see losing in a shootout. If I had to lose one of the two, I would lose one.
Yeah, and kind of go back to what I said earlier about not being any skippable tracks. I was wrong. Garden of Eden is a song I can do without.
Garden of Eden is not that great of a song,
yeah,
but The Garden is a good
I think
song.
Garden of Eden is definitely a skippable track on Use Your Illusion 1. And then, like I said, maybe definitely 1, maybe 2 on part 2. I don't know, there's some people out there that said, that have gone on record and said that half of both of these albums
are
skippable.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I would say there's 1, 2...
But
three
Breakdown's
songs.
a great... I think what makes Use Your Illusion 2 a better album, in my opinion, are those non-hit tracks on here. Songs like Breakdown, Shotgun Blues, Locomotive is an incredible song. So Fine, which is sung by Duff. Strange is a great track. Yeah, he did just release a new one. And then, of course, the alternate version of Don't Cry. I think it's those tracks that kind of, it's a very slight edge because I love both albums.
Right.
I think it's those kind of tracks that push Use Your Illusion 2 a little bit ahead of part
I feel like they maybe put a little bit more effort into streamlining Use Your Illusion 2. So, like, if it was going to be, they were only going to release one album, and it was either or, I can see Use Your Illusion 2 being put out over Use Your Illusion 1 because it seems like it's more refined in terms of the song selection. Whether or not I like the songs more, I don't. I still think Use Your Illusion 1 works better, but it's a little bit bloated by comparison. Yeah. And when you're looking at those kind of things as a band, especially to put out an album, the songs you cut rather than the songs you put on, I think if they were going to, if that was the bunch of songs they did and they were going to put out an album, Use Your Illusion 2 is probably the best choice because it's just more refined in terms of the song selection. But I like the songs better on Use Your Illusion 1.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know which one of these two albums you'd pick. Because I can kind of see arguments for both
Either
of them.
one, yeah.
They're both incredible albums, though. But what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, nobody's wrong in this position.
Except for Ian.
Well, no, because, we're talking a very fine
really
line in
really
terms of what separates the two. And that fine line is strictly just opinion.
Yeah.
But some people might see it as one single album, and the whole argument is moot at that point.
It's a
moo issue.
It's a moo argument.
Moo argument, yeah.
But let us know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.